have you ever heard the term glacial isostatic adjustment?
I have not.
Okay. So glacial isostatic adjustment on the East Coast is because we had glaciers, large, thick, heavy glaciers on the plate to the north in Maine, all the way down to Jersey. So when that plate moves and you have the glaciers on it, and the glaciers are removed over time, there's an isostatic adjustment. So if you read that report, it would have talked about it. It also would have talked about sea level rise versus depression. And I know you're probably not aware, but the sea level rise fully compensated for also the shift, the sinking, is about 1 millimeter a year.
I guess I can't help myself. I want to mention something about sea level rise since you brought it up, our current Mr. Chair. And I really appreciate your willingness to focus on this, whether it's the tribes or other states. I guess I just have to say, I'm happy to read the 2017 report. It is 7 years and a lot has changed. And I think maybe because you're in Montana, you don't see what I see on the coast of Maine. So I'd be happy to invite you out anytime, or anyone on the committee who'd like to take a look at this who has some concerns about whether or not this is real. And I don't know about glacial isostatic adjustment, but I'm going to learn all about it. But I just want to tell you, this year we had 2 back-to-back severe storms, and I'm sure in 2017, nobody in my community, a fishing town 12 miles off the coast of Maine on an island, thought there would ever be anything like we saw this year. 2 back-to-back storms. We have a 180-year-old boatyard, basically, in our district. In our little town of 400, everybody turned out between the first and the second storm because they were so worried that this building that's been there forever and the fishermen depend on was going to wash away. They had block and tackles and chains. They put cement blocks on the floor. They did everything they could possibly think of to try to hold it on land, to try to keep it there. And right now, we don't know if it'll survive. It got through that storm, it got through the second storm, but we're probably going to lose it. And you can come visit the coast of Maine and see up and down the coast of Maine, 150-year-old piers everywhere. Communities like Stonington, Maine, fishing towns, they're washing away. This was a tide like we had never seen before, and a storm surge from the southeast, which is weather we used to never have before. So you can say that there's some kind of tectonic plate shift going on, or this isn't really real, or whatever, but I invite you to come to my communities. These are fishermen. These are communities that are going to disappear. Not to mention the tribal communities. I'm just talking about our fishing towns, our community piers. They're going away. This tide is higher than we have ever imagined could happen to us, and it's not even there yet. It's not even anywhere near what the maps say. Places that are peninsulas are going to turn into islands. Communities are losing their sewer systems, their infrastructure. It's all going away. So it's one thing to sit inland in Montana. You got mountains, you can run to the top, but we don't have those options. And however we want to describe why this is happening, I just want to thank you, Madam Secretary, and your department for putting this focus on, because this is extremely real to us. It's very emotional to us. It's the end of so many of our communities, and we don't know where we're going to get the money to deal with all this. We don't know how we're going to move to higher ground when there isn't higher ground, or it's already filled up. Our island communities, our coastal communities, this is really serious to us. So thank you for your attention to us. I thoroughly invite anyone from this committee, come spend some time in my district and see the coast of Maine. We'd love to have you. But you're gonna see some tears in the eyes of fishermen and people, hardcore Republican conservatives who don't always vote for me, but they want to know what we're going to do about this. And I invite you to join us in doing that.
Ranking member, if I could just say very quickly, Maine was one of the first places I visited when I came into this position at Acadia National Park. And so I just want you to know that we care deeply about every single community that is facing these issues. It's American traditions, the fishermen, and we equate that with, when we think about those fishermen, we think about your state. So it is heartbreaking when you think that these are lives of people that are getting washed away. And so we're doing everything we possibly can to address the issues.
I thank you for that, and I thank you for visiting our state. The challenge is, and I think this is what many of us saw this winter, that we never really had knowledge in this visceral way. This is so much bigger than any one of us. This is so much bigger than the budget that we have. This is so much bigger than our petty arguments about what's real and not real. You just got to come and see it to understand. And if it can happen twice this winter, you know, what's coming next year? Who knows?